The bridge of the human ship was quiet. Commander Jake Sullivan stood near the big screen that showed maps of space. His ship, the Starfire, was on patrol duty far from Earth. They were checking the edges of human space, making sure everything was safe. It was boring work most days, but Jake knew it was important. 3 months had passed since humans met aliens for the first time. The Galactic Federation had welcomed Earth into their group of peaceful planets. Every day, humans learned something new about the huge universe around them. There were hundreds of alien species out there, and most of them were friendly. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez sat at her station watching the communication systems. She was young but very good at her job. Suddenly her face changed. She looked worried. Her fingers moved fast across her controls. "Commander, I am getting a distress call," Amy said. Her voice was tight with concern. "It is in Galactic Standard Language. They are broadcasting on all emergency channels." Jake walked over to her station. "What does it say?" Amy read the message on her screen. "It is from a Valorian colony ship. They are under attack. The Krathok raiders are attacking them. 23 enemy ships are closing in." She looked up at Jake with worried eyes. "Sir, they have more than 4,000 people on that ship. Many of them are children." Everyone on the bridge stopped what they were doing. They all knew about the Valorians. The tall aliens with blue skin were some of the nicest people in the galaxy. They loved science and art. They had been very kind to humans when Earth joined the Federation. The Valorians taught humans many things and asked for nothing in return. The Krathok were different. They were space pirates. They attacked peaceful ships and stole everything. They took people as slaves and sold them. They were cruel and mean. Everyone in the galaxy was afraid of them. "How far away are they?" Jake asked. 14 light years from our position, sir. We can reach them in 40 minutes if we use maximum jump speed." Lieutenant Ryan Carter spoke from his weapons station. He was Jake's tactical officer, and he knew a lot about fighting in space. "Sir, I have looked at the data on Krathok tactics. 23 ships against our 1 destroyer? Those are very bad odds. The Federation rules say we should call for backup and stay at a safe distance." "How long would backup take to get there?" Jake asked. He already knew the answer would not be good. Ryan checked his computer. "The nearest Federation patrol is 6 hours away. The Valorians will not last that long, sir. The Krathok are fast and brutal. They will destroy that ship or capture it within an hour." Jake looked around his bridge. He saw his crew looking back at him. They were all humans. They were born on Earth, a planet that the galaxy called a death world. Earth was dangerous. The weather could kill you. The animals could kill you. Even the plants could be deadly. Life on Earth was hard, and it made humans tough. Most aliens came from safe, peaceful worlds. They had never known real danger. They had lived in peace for thousands of years. But humans were different. Humans knew how to fight. Humans knew how to survive. Humans knew how to win against bad odds. Jake made his decision. "Amy, send a message to the Valorians. Tell them help is coming. Ryan, sound the battle alarm and plot a jump course. All crew members get ready for combat." "Sir," Ryan said carefully, "are you sure? We are outnumbered 23-1. That is very dangerous." Jake smiled a little. "The Krathok are not outnumbered, Ryan. We have them surrounded. That means we can shoot in any direction we want. Also, they have never fought humans before. They do not know what we can do. They do not know what happens when you make humans angry." The alarm began to sound throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in the hallways. All over the Starfire, crew members ran to their battle stations. The ship that had been quiet and peaceful was now preparing for war. The weapons officer checked all the guns and missiles. The engineering team made sure the engines were running perfectly. The medical bay prepared for possible injuries. Everyone knew their job and everyone did it well. This was what humans did best. When there was danger, humans did not run away. They ran toward it. "All stations report ready, sir," Ryan announced after a few minutes. Jake sat down in his command chair and fastened the safety straps. Jumping through space was fast, but it could be rough. "Good. Then let us show these pirates what happens when they attack innocent people. Let us show the galaxy what humans do when someone needs help." He looked at his pilot. "Engage the jump drive." The pilot pressed the controls. The ship's engines began to hum louder and louder. Space itself began to bend around the Starfire. The stars outside seemed to stretch and twist. Then, in a flash of bright blue light, the ship disappeared from where it was and jumped across 14 light years in an instant. When the Starfire appeared again, it would be in the middle of a battle. The Krathok raiders thought they were hunting easy prey. They thought they would steal from a helpless colony ship and maybe take some slaves. They had done this many times before, but this time was different. This time someone had answered the distress call. This time the hunters were about to become the hunted. This time, the Krathok were going to meet humanity for the first time. And humanity was going to teach them a lesson they would never forget. The peaceful galaxy was about to learn something too. For thousands of years, the civilized species had avoided violence. They talked about problems. They made deals and compromises. Fighting was rare and small. War was something from ancient history books. But humans remembered war. Humans had fought each other for millions of years. They had learned every trick, every tactic, every strategy. They had built weapons that could destroy cities. They had created ships that could fight against terrible odds and win. Now those ships were coming to save people who could not save themselves. Now those weapons were going to be used to protect the innocent. Now the Deathworlders were going to show the galaxy what real warriors looked like. The Starfire flew through space faster than light itself. Inside the ship, Jake and his crew waited calmly. They were ready. They were trained. They were human, and they were coming to help. 4,000 Valorian lives depended on them. 4,000 innocent people, including many children, were waiting to be saved or captured by cruel pirates. The Krathok thought they had an easy target. They were wrong. The Starfire came out of the jump in a flash of blue light. Jake looked at the big screen and saw exactly what he had feared. The Valorian colony ship, called Peaceful Dawn, was huge and beautiful. Its silver hull reflected the light from the nearby star. The ship had smooth curves and looked like a work of art. But it had one big problem. It had no weapons. It was completely defenseless. Around the Valorian ship were 23 Krathok raider vessels. They looked like hungry wolves surrounding a wounded animal. The Krathok ships were ugly and mean-looking. They had sharp angles and were painted in dark red and black colors. Weapons covered every surface. These were ships built for one purpose only, to attack and destroy. The raiders had already started shooting. Bright plasma bolts flew through space and hit the Valorian ship's shields. Each hit made the shields weaker. Soon they would fail completely, and then the Krathok would board the ship and take everyone prisoner. Turn on our shields. Load all weapons, Jake ordered. His voice was calm and steady. Amy, open a communication channel to the Krathok fleet. Let us try to talk first. Channel is open, sir. Jake spoke clearly into the microphone. Krathok vessels, this is Commander Jake Sullivan of the Earth ship Starfire. You are attacking a ship that is protected by the Galactic Federation. Stop your attack now and leave, or you will face the consequences. The answer came quickly. The Krathok laughed. It was a harsh, ugly sound. Then a rough voice spoke. One tiny ship thinks it can fight all of us? Your species must be stupid. We never heard of Earth or humans. Leave now and we will let you go. Stay and we will destroy you and take your ship too. Jake's eyes went cold. We gave you a chance. Ryan, target the 3 ships that are closest to the Valorian vessel. Open fire. The Starfire's weapons came alive. The railguns shot heavy metal slugs at incredible speed. Each slug was moving so fast it was almost like a beam of light. Missiles launched from their pods and locked onto their targets. Laser beams tracked the enemy ships with computer accuracy. The Krathok raiders never expected what happened next. 3 of their ships exploded at almost the same time. The railgun slugs went through their armor like paper. The missiles hit and detonated with nuclear fire. In 3 seconds, 3 Krathok ships were turned into clouds of debris and gas. The other Krathok ships scattered in panic. They had been so confident just seconds ago. Now they were confused and scared. They had never seen such powerful weapons. They had never been hurt so badly so fast. Good shooting, Jake said. Do not give them time to think. Amy, tell the Valorians to charge their jump drive and get out of here as soon as they can. Sir, the Krathok are regrouping. They are trying to surround us, Ryan reported from his station. Let them try. Helm, evasive pattern Delta 7. Keep us between the raiders and the Valorian ship. All weapons, shoot any enemy that comes in range. The Starfire began to move in ways that seemed impossible. It spun and rolled through space like a fighter jet, even though it was much bigger. The Krathok were used to fighting slow merchant ships that could barely move. They were not ready for this. The human destroyer dodged and weaved while its guns never stopped firing. Another Krathok ship died when a railgun slug punched straight through its reactor core. The ship exploded from the inside out. A fifth raider fell to a spread of missiles that came from 3 different directions at once. The Krathok were starting to understand something terrible. They were in serious trouble. This was not a weak merchant ship or a defenseless colony transport. This was a real warship, built by people who knew how to fight. "Commander, I am receiving a message from the Krathok," Amy said. "They want to negotiate." "Tell them the time for talking was before they attacked innocent civilians," Jake replied coldly. "Ryan, what is the status of the Valorian ship?" "They are charging their jump drive now, sir. 2 minutes until they can escape. Then we hold this position for 2 minutes. All hands, keep fighting." The battle continued. The Starfire proved again and again why human warships were special. Earth had built its ships with everything humans had learned from thousands of years of war. The ships had backup systems for their backup systems. They had thick armor. They had weapons that could destroy almost anything, and they had crews that knew how to fight against bad odds and still win. A 6th Krathok ship exploded, then a 7th, then an 8th. The raiders who had been so confident were now running and trying to hide. Some of them were trying to escape, but Jake's crew shot them down before they could jump away. Jake wanted them to understand, if you attack innocent people, there will be consequences. If you try to hurt those who cannot defend themselves, someone will come to stop you. And if that someone is human, you will regret your choices. Finally, the Valorian ship disappeared in a flash of light. They had jumped to safety. Their 4,000 people were safe. The children would see their homes again. The families would not be separated and sold as slaves. "Sir, the Valorian ship has escaped," Ryan reported. "And the remaining Krathok ships are breaking off. They are jumping away too." Jake counted the enemy ships that were left. Only 12 remained from the original 23. 11 Krathok raiders had been destroyed in less than 20 minutes. And now the survivors were running away as fast as they could. "Let them go," Jake said. "They will tell other raiders what happened here. They will spread the word about what happens when you attack someone under human protection." He turned to Amy. "Open a channel to Federation High Command. They need to know what happened here today." As the excitement of battle began to fade, Jake sat back in his chair. His hands were steady, but inside he was thinking about what had just happened. Humanity had just announced itself to the galaxy in a very clear way. They had shown everyone that humans would fight to protect innocent people. They had shown everyone that humans were not afraid of bad odds. The other members of the Galactic Federation were peaceful. They avoided fighting. They had lived in safety for so long that they had forgotten how to defend themselves. But humans were different. Humans came from a dangerous world. Humans knew how to fight because they had to learn or die. And now the galaxy knew it too. The Deathworlders had arrived. Humans were here, and they were not like the other peaceful species. Humans would stand up to bullies. Humans would protect the weak. Humans would fight for what was right no matter the odds. "Sir, receiving acknowledgement from Federation High Command," Amy said. "They are sending a ship to investigate and want a full report." "Tell them we will provide everything they need," Jake replied. He looked out at the stars through the main view screen. Somewhere out there, the Valorian families were safe. Somewhere out there, children were hugging their parents. Somewhere out there, people were alive who would have been dead or enslaved without human help. That was what mattered. That was why the Starfire had come when the distress call sounded. That was why Jake had risked his ship and his crew against 23 enemies. Because it was the right thing to do. And humans always tried to do the right thing, even when it was hard, even when it was dangerous, even when everyone said it was impossible. The galaxy was about to learn a lot about humanity. And the first lesson had just been taught in fire and steel and courage. 3 days after the battle, Jake found himself on a huge space station called Unity Point. The Federation had built this station as a place where different species could meet and talk. Everything in the station was built for tall aliens. The ceiling was 15 feet high. The chairs were sized for beings that were 8 feet tall. Jake and his human team had brought their own furniture, which now looked very small in the giant room. Across the table sat Ambassador Telmora. She was the Valorian representative, one of the people whose ship Jake had saved. She was tall and graceful, with blue skin that seemed to glow softly in the light. Her people were known throughout the galaxy for being peaceful and wise. Next to her sat High Commander Zefkal. He was from a species called the Krell, who looked like large reptiles that walked on 2 legs. His people had been the peacekeepers of the galaxy for 300 years. He was the head of all Federation defense forces. Commander Sullivan, Telmora began. Her voice was soft and musical. The Valorian people owe you a debt we can never repay. 4,217 people are alive because of your bravery. Our children still have a future because you came to help us. Jake nodded politely. We only did what anyone should do when they hear a distress call, Ambassador. High Commander Zefkal leaned forward. His clawed fingers tapped on the table. But that is exactly the problem, Commander. What you did is not what anyone would do. It was extraordinary. It was unprecedented. And frankly, it is quite troubling. Jake frowned. Troubling? We saved innocent people from pirates. You fought 23 hostile ships with only one ship of your own, Zefkal said. You destroyed 11 of them and scared away the rest. You did this in less than 20 minutes. Commander, do you understand how impossible that should have been? He continued. The Krathok may be criminals, but they are experienced fighters. They have been raiding for decades. Yet your single ship defeated them so completely that the survivors are telling stories about human demons all across the Outer Rim. We had better technology and training, Jake said carefully. You had a destroyer that moves like a small fighter ship but hits like a battleship, Zefkal corrected him. We studied the battle data from the Valorian ship's sensors. Our scientists are confused. Your weapons do more damage than anything in the Federation arsenal. Your shields took hits that should have destroyed you. Your ship did maneuvers that should have torn it apart from the forces involved. Jake stayed quiet. He was not sure where this conversation was going. Ambassador Telmora spoke gently. Commander, you must understand the context. The Federation has enjoyed peace for nearly 1,000 years. We solve our conflicts by talking and making agreements. When we must use force, we rely on having more ships than the enemy, and we focus on defense. What you showed us was something the galaxy has not seen in millennia. You showed us warfare as an art form. Earth is a death world, Jake explained. We did not have the luxury of peace. We built our military to face threats that could end our species. We trained for worst-case scenarios. We designed our ships to survive and win against impossible odds because that is what we needed to survive on our own world. Zefkal nodded slowly. And now you are here in a galaxy that has grown soft with peace. Do you know what is happening right now, Commander? Every news channel in Federation space is showing footage of your battle. All the peaceful species are looking at humanity with awe and hope. They are calling you heroes. They are calling you saviors. They are calling you protectors. That sounds like a good thing, Jake said. It is, Telmora agreed. But it also comes with responsibility. In the past 3 days, we have received 47 requests for human military assistance. Colonies being threatened by raiders want your help. Merchant convoys are asking for human escorts. Some planetary governments are requesting human advisors for their defense forces. Jake felt a heavy weight settle on his shoulders. I see. Your actions have awakened something in the galaxy, Commander, Zefkal said seriously. For the first time in centuries, the peaceful civilizations have hope. They do not have to be victims anymore. They believe that someone will stand up for them. Someone will fight for them. Someone will protect them. He paused and looked directly at Jake. They believe in humanity. We cannot be everywhere at once, Jake protested. The Starfire is just one ship. Earth has only been in space for a short time. We do not have the resources to protect the entire galaxy. Perhaps not yet, Telmora said with a knowing smile. But Earth has something no other world in the Federation has. You have the will and the knowledge to build a true military force. After what you have shown us, there are many species who would support humanity, taking a larger role in galactic security. Jake looked between the two aliens. Understanding began to dawn on him. You are offering us a role, not just as another member species, but as protectors of the galaxy. The galaxy needs protectors, Zefkal said firmly. It needs warriors, and humanity has proven it can fill that role. The question is, will you? Jake stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Krathok were regrouping and planning their next attacks. Other threats lurked in the darkness between worlds, and now thousands of peaceful civilizations were looking to humanity for protection. It was a huge responsibility. Earth had barely started exploring space. Humans were still learning about the galaxy. Could they really take on the role of defenders? Could they protect so many different species across such vast distances? But then Jake thought about those 4,000 Valorian civilians. He thought about the children who would have been taken as slaves. He thought about all the other innocent people out there who were afraid of raiders and pirates. I need to speak with Earth Command, he said finally. This is a decision that is bigger than me. But I can tell you this. If someone calls for help, if innocent lives are in danger, humanity will answer. That is who we are. That is what we do. Telmora stood up gracefully. Then perhaps the galaxy is finally ready to meet its guardians. As Jake left the conference room, he felt that everything was about to change. Humanity had come to the stars looking for knowledge and friendship. Instead, they had found something unexpected. They had found a galaxy that needed them, and humanity had never been good at walking away from people who needed help. It was not in their nature. Humans did not abandon those in need. They did not ignore cries for help. They did not let the weak suffer when they could do something about it. Jake knew what Earth's answer would be even before he sent his report. Humanity would step up. Humanity would take on this responsibility. Humanity would become the protectors that the galaxy needed. Because that was what Deathworlders did. They faced danger. They fought against evil. They protected those who could not protect themselves. And they never ever gave up. 6 months had passed since the Starfire's battle with the Krathok Raiders. The space around Earth had changed completely. The orbital shipyards that used to build small exploration ships had grown into massive construction platforms. They stretched for miles in every direction. The sounds of building never stopped. Welding torches flashed day and night. Cutting lasers glowed as workers shaped metal into warships. Humanity was building its first true war fleet. Admiral Lisa Grant stood in the observation room of the new Earth Space Command headquarters. She watched the construction with mixed feelings. She was proud of what humanity had built, but also worried about what it meant. Behind her, a holographic display showed the current fleet status. 23 destroyers like the Starfire were finished. 8 heavy cruisers were ready. 3 huge battleships waited in their docks, and the flagship, a massive carrier called Liberty, was still being built but was already the largest warship humans had ever made. Impressive, is it not? Jake Sullivan's voice came from behind her. He walked up wearing his new uniform. He was a captain now. His bravery had earned him a promotion, one of many as Earth's military grew. Terrifying is a better word, Lisa replied. 6 months ago we had 12 ships made for exploring space. Now we are building a fleet that could fight the combined military power of a dozen Federation species and win. And we will need every ship, Jake said as he stood beside her. The intelligence reports get worse every day. The Krathok are not just raiding anymore. They are organizing. Our victory did not scare them away. It convinced them they need to act before we become a real threat. Lisa nodded seriously. I have read the reports. They are calling it the Great Hunt. Every raider clan in the Outer Rim is coming together. They are targeting human vessels specifically. They want to capture our technology and prove we are not invincible. Which is why the Council approved Operation Guardian. Jake said, we cannot wait for them to come to us. We need to take the fight to them. The holographic display changed to show a tactical map of the Outer Rim territories. Red dots marked known Krathok bases and raiding stations. There were dozens of them scattered across hundreds of light years of space. We have received official requests for help from 17 different Federation species, Lisa said. They are offering resources, intelligence information, and places where our ships can resupply. The Valorians have opened their shipyards to us. The Krell are giving us tactical data. Even the Hive Collective has offered support, and they have been neutral for 200 years. Because they finally have hope, Jake replied. For the first time in generations, someone is willing to fight back against the raiders and pirates. Someone is willing to say enough is enough. A young officer approached them. Admiral Grant, Captain Sullivan, they are ready for you in the briefing room. The task force commanders have assembled. Lisa and Jake walked through the station's hallways to the main briefing room. 24 of humanity's best military officers waited there. These men and women would lead the fleet into battle. Each one had been carefully chosen for their skills and experience. Lisa stood at the head of the table and turned on the holographic display. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. As of this morning, Earth Space Command has received permission to launch Operation Guardian. Our mission is simple to state but hard to execute. We are going to eliminate the raider threat in the Outer Rim once and for all. A quiet murmur ran through the room. This was what they had been training for and preparing for. But hearing it stated so plainly still made them nervous and excited. The fleet will split into 3 task forces, Lisa continued. Task Force Alpha under my command will have the heavy units. The battleships and cruisers. We will target the major Krathok strongholds and destroy their ability to launch large attacks. The display changed to show new information. Task Force Bravo, under Captain Sullivan's command, will be our fast response team. Destroyers and frigates that can move quickly and hit hard. You will respond to raider attacks across multiple sectors at the same time. Task Force Charlie, she went on, will be led by Commander Helen Cross aboard the carrier Liberty once it is finished. Strike fighters and bomber wings will provide support and project our power across the whole operational area. Jake leaned forward. The Krathuk have numbers on their side. Intelligence estimates they can field about 300 ships if they fully mobilize. But they are not a unified force. They are competing clans and factions held together only by profit and violence. That is their weakness. Our strategy, Lisa explained, is to hit them hard and fast. We will disrupt their leadership and destroy their major bases. Without central coordination and without their safe havens, they will break apart and scatter. This will not eliminate piracy completely, but it will break their ability to threaten Federation shipping and colonies. One of the commanders, an experienced officer named Captain Paul Turner, raised his hand. Admiral, what about the other species? Will we have Federation support in the fighting? Limited but important, Lisa replied. The Valorians are providing medical help and logistics support. The Krell are giving us intelligence and reconnaissance drones. Several other species are letting us use their stations and facilities as forward bases. But the actual fighting, that is on us. This is humanity's operation and humanity's responsibility. She looked around the room at these brave people who would lead humanity's first major military operation in space. I will not lie to you. This will be dangerous. We will face determined enemies in hostile territory. We may lose ships. We will certainly lose people. But we are doing this so that peaceful civilizations can live without fear. We are doing this because it is right, and we are doing this because humanity does not stand by when innocent people are threatened. The officers all stood up at once. Their faces showed determination and courage. They were ready. The fleet was ready. Somewhere in the darkness between the stars, the raiders of the Outer Rim were about to learn what it meant to face humanity at full strength. The preparations had taken 6 months of hard work. Thousands of workers had built the ships. Tens of thousands of crew members had trained for this moment. Scientists had improved the weapons and shields. Engineers had made the engines faster and more powerful. Strategists had studied the enemy and planned every detail of the operation. Now it was time. The fleet would launch in 3 days. Task Force Alpha would jump to the largest Krathok base and begin the assault. Task Force Bravo would spread out across the region, ready to respond to any raiders who tried to escape or retaliate. Task Force Charlie would provide air support and strike capabilities. Jake looked at the holographic display showing all the human warships. Each one represented the hopes and dreams of humanity. Each one was crewed by people willing to risk their lives for strangers they had never met. Each one was a symbol of what humans could accomplish when they worked together toward a common goal. The Deathworlders were going to war. Not for conquest or glory, not for wealth or power. They were going to war to protect those who could not protect themselves. They were going to war because someone had to stand up to the bullies and criminals who preyed on the weak, and humanity had decided that they would be the ones to do it. Because that was what good people did when they had the power to make a difference. That was what heroes did when others were in danger. The galaxy was about to change, and humanity was leading that change with courage, honor, and an unwavering commitment to doing what was right. The first strike of Operation Guardian came without warning. In space there is no real dawn, but the humans decided this was when they would attack. Jake Sullivan's Task Force Bravo came out of jump space in perfect formation. 12 destroyers appeared at the same instant above the Krathok stronghold called Razor's Edge. The raider base was built inside a large asteroid. It had docking bays carved into the rock where ships could hide. Weapon platforms stuck out from the surface like thorns. This base had been used for decades to launch raids against innocent merchants and colonies. The Krathok reaction was immediate. Alarms started blaring across the base. Ships began launching from the docking bays in a rush. They tried to form defensive positions, but they were not ready. The humans had studied them carefully. They knew the Krathok expected small attacks, maybe 1 or 2 ships at most. That was how other species fought. The Krathok did not expect what the humans brought. They brought overwhelming, coordinated violence. All ships, you are free to fire, Jake ordered calmly. Target their docking base first. I want their fleet trapped inside. The human destroyers opened fire together. Missiles streaked across the empty space, their engines burning bright white. Railguns fired with electromagnetic power, sending heavy metal slugs at incredible speeds. Laser batteries locked onto targets on the asteroid's surface and began burning through rock and metal. The first docking bay exploded when a missile punched through its blast doors and detonated inside. More explosions rippled through the structure as fuel and ammunition caught fire. The second bay was destroyed seconds later. Then the third. Within 2 minutes, the Krathok base had been sealed shut. Their fleet was trapped inside like animals in a cage. "Commander Sullivan, we are receiving messages from the base. They want to talk about surrender," his communications officer reported. "Let me hear it," Jake said. The voice that came through was very different from the arrogant Krathok commander Jake had spoken to 6 months ago. This voice was filled with fear. "Human ships, stop firing. We surrender. We will leave this base. Please just let us live." Jake's face was cold and hard. "How many people begged you for mercy over the years? How many innocent crews and civilians asked you to spare their lives? How many did you let go?" There was silence from the other end of the communication. "I will make you the same offer you made them," Jake continued. "Leave the base. Leave your ships behind. Every raider comes out in an escape pod with no weapons, no armor, just the clothes you are wearing. You get one chance to change your ways and find honest work. Anyone who refuses, anyone who tries to fight, dies with the base. You would let us live?" The Krathok sounded surprised. "I will let you survive," Jake corrected. "What you do with that second chance is up to you. But understand this clearly. The days of raiding and piracy in Federation space are over. Humanity is here now. We will hunt down every raider clan, every pirate base, every slaver station, until the Outer Rim is safe for peaceful travel. This is your only warning. Tell any of your people who will listen." Over the next hour, escape pods began streaming from the base. They were tiny metal spheres against the vastness of space. The human task force collected them carefully, marking each one with a beacon so Federation police could pick them up later. Jake kept his word and let them go. Then Task Force Bravo completely destroyed Razor's Edge. They reduced it to floating debris and made sure it could never be a raider base. Again, the same thing happened all across the Outer Rim. Admiral Lisa Grant's Task Force Alpha attacked the largest Krathok bases with massive force. The battleships were true to their name. Their huge weapons turned fortified positions into rubble. Heavy cruisers swept through raider fleets like a farmer's scythe through wheat. Everywhere the humans appeared, the raiders either surrendered or died. Commander Helen Cross's carrier group proved equally devastating. Human fighter pilots trained on a dangerous world where quick reflexes meant life or death outflew every raider craft they met. The Liberty's bomber wings destroyed major installations from long range. Their precision strikes hit exactly what they aimed at and nothing else. 3 weeks into Operation Guardian, the Krathok leadership sent representatives to Unity Point, asking for formal peace talks. The great raiders who had terrorized the Outer Rim for decades came to surrender. Jake was there when they arrived. He stood beside Admiral Grant and Ambassador Telmora. The Krathok delegation was led by their high chieftain, a scarred warrior named Grakthor. He looked at the humans with something that mixed respect and fear. "You have proven your strength, humans," Grakthor said. His voice rumbled like distant thunder. "The Krathok admit defeat. We will stop all raiding in Federation space. We ask only for safe passage to the frontier territories beyond your reach." Lisa Grant stepped forward. "We have a different proposal. The Krathok are warriors. Your people have good ship-handling skills and combat experience. Instead of exile, we offer you jobs. The Federation needs protection. Peaceful species need defenders. Your clans could serve as support forces, training alongside human units, learning to fight for something besides money." Grakthor looked shocked. "You would trust us? After everything we have done? We would give you a chance to earn trust," Jake said. "Just like we gave your raiders in the escape pods a chance. Some people deserve second chances. Some people can change. Are the Krathok among them?" The Krathok chieftain was silent for a long time. Then he slowly bowed his head, a gesture of deep respect among his people. "It is more than we deserve. We accept your terms." As the delegation left to begin integrating Krathok warriors into Federation security forces, Telmora walked over to Jake and Lisa. "You never stop amazing me, humans," she said softly. "You came to the stars and found a galaxy that needed warriors. You built a fleet in months that equals what took other species centuries. You defeated our enemies and then offered them a chance at redemption. Who are you, really? Jake smiled. We are humans, Ambassador. We come from a death world that tried to kill us for millions of years. We did not just survive, we thrived. We learned to fight against impossible odds. We learned to never give up. And most importantly, we learned that strength means nothing if you do not use it to protect those who cannot protect themselves. The galaxy called for help, Lisa added, and humanity answered with a fleet. Not because we wanted war or glory, but because it was the right thing to do. That is who we are. That is who we will always be. Telemora looked out the window at the human fleet holding position around Unity Point. These were ships of war, built by warriors, crewed by people who understood both the terrible cost of violence and the absolute necessity of standing up for what was right. Then the galaxy is fortunate, she said quietly. When the Deathworlders came to the stars, they came as guardians and not as conquerors. 1 year had passed since Operation Guardian began. Jake stood once again on Unity Point, but this time the station was very different. Human ships were always present now, rotating in and out on regular patrols. The station had expanded with new sections built to accommodate human personnel. Flags from dozens of Federation species hung together in the main hall, and the newest addition was Earth's flag, hanging with pride among them. The outer rim was quiet now. Piracy had not been completely eliminated, but it had been reduced to tiny scattered incidents. The major raider clans were gone. Some had been destroyed in battle. Others had accepted humanity's offer and were now training as legitimate security forces. The Krathok, once the most feared raiders in the galaxy, were now working alongside human military advisors to protect the very trade routes they used to attack. Jake walked through the station's central plaza, where beings from countless worlds mingled freely. He saw Valorian families shopping without fear. He saw merchant captains from a dozen species planning routes that would have been suicide a year ago. He saw children of various alien races playing together, their laughter echoing through the halls. This was what they had fought for. This peace, this safety, this simple ability for good people to live their lives without terror. Captain Sullivan, a familiar voice called out. Jake turned to see Ambassador Telmora approaching with a young Valorian girl holding her hand. The child could not have been more than 6 years old in human terms. Ambassador, Jake greeted with a warm smile. Who is your young friend? Telmora's expression was gentle. This is my granddaughter, Sella. She was aboard the Peaceful Dawn when you rescued us. Sella, this is Captain Jake Sullivan. He is the human who saved our ship. The little girl looked up at Jake with wide, curious eyes. Then she did something unexpected. She stepped forward and hugged his leg, the highest part of him she could reach. Thank you for saving my mommy and daddy, she said in a small voice. Jake felt a lump form in his throat. He knelt down to the girl's level. You are very welcome, Sella. I am glad you and your family are safe. The girl smiled brightly and ran back to her grandmother. Telemora placed a hand on the child's shoulder and looked at Jake with deep gratitude. There are 4,000 stories like hers, Captain. 4,000 lives that continue because you chose to help. Because humanity chose to help. After the ambassador and her granddaughter left, Jake continued to the observation deck. Admiral Lisa Grant was already there looking out at the fleet. The human presence had grown substantially. Task Force Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie were now permanent assignments. The Liberty was fully operational, its fighter wings conducting regular patrols. New ships arrived every week as Earth's shipyards continued their work. Thinking about how much has changed, Lisa asked without turning around. Every day, Jake admitted, joining her at the window. A year ago, we were explorers. Now we are guardians of the galaxy. Do you regret it? Lisa asked. Jake thought about the question. He thought about the battles they had fought. He thought about the crew members they had lost. War was never without cost, and Operation Guardian had claimed lives. Good people who would never see Earth again. Heroes who had died protecting strangers. But then he thought about Sella's smile. He thought about the thousands of families who were together because of what they had done. He thought about the merchant ships that now traveled safely. He thought about the colonies that could sleep peacefully at night. No, he said firmly, I do not regret it. We did what was necessary. We did what was right. Lisa nodded in agreement. The Federation Council is meeting next week. They want to officially recognize humanity as the primary defense force for Federation space. It will come with resources, authority, and responsibility. What did Earth say? Earth accepted. We are building more ships, training more crews, establishing more bases. Humanity is committed to this role now. We are the protectors. We are the guardians. Jake watched the stars beyond the viewport. Out there in the vast darkness, there would always be threats. There would always be those who preyed on the weak. There would always be danger. But now there would also always be someone to stand against that darkness. Someone to answer the call for help. Someone to fight for those who could not fight for themselves. High Commander Zefkal entered the observation deck, his reptilian features showing something that might have been satisfaction. Captain Sullivan, Admiral Grant, I wanted to inform you personally. The last of the old raider bases has been cleared. The outer rim is officially secure. That is excellent news, Commander, Lisa said. Zefkal moved to stand with them at the window. A year ago, I was troubled by humanity's arrival. I worried about what it would mean to have warriors in a galaxy of peace. Now I understand that we needed you. We had grown weak in our comfort. We had forgotten that peace must sometimes be defended with strength. He turned to look at them directly. You have taught us something important. Power is not inherently good or evil. It is how you use that power that matters. Humanity has shown us that strength can be used to protect, that warriors can be heroes, that Deathworlders can be saviors. We are just doing what anyone should do, Jake said. But you are the ones who actually do it, Zefkal replied. That is what makes you special. Not your weapons or your ships, but your willingness to act. Your refusal to stand by when others suffer. That is the true measure of heroism. Later that evening, Jake stood alone in the observation deck. The fleet spread out before him in perfect formation. Each ship represented hope. Each crew represented courage. Each mission represented humanity's commitment to making the galaxy a better, safer place. He thought back to that day when the distress call had come through. That moment when he had to decide whether to follow protocol and wait for backup, or to rush into danger to save people he had never met. It had seemed like a simple choice then, and it still did now. When someone calls for help, you answer. When innocents are in danger, you act. When evil threatens the weak, you stand in its way. These were not complex philosophical questions for humanity. They were simple truths that had guided humans for as long as their species had existed. The galaxy had called for help. The aliens had sent out a distress signal, not knowing if anyone would answer. Not knowing if anyone would care. Not knowing if anyone would risk themselves for strangers. But the Deathworlders had heard that call. And the Deathworlders had responded. Not with a single ship, but with an entire fleet. Not with reluctance, but with determination. Not with hesitation, but with courage. The universe was vast and often dangerous, but it was also full of good people trying to live good lives. And now those people knew that if they ever needed help, if they ever faced threats they could not handle alone, they could call out into the darkness and humanity would answer. Every single time, because that was what Deathworlders did. They protected. They defended. They stood firm against the darkness and said, no, you will not harm the innocent. Not while we draw breath. Not while we have strength to fight. Not while there is still hope in our hearts. Jake smiled as he watched the fleet. The journey had just begun. There would be new challenges ahead. New threats would emerge. New calls for help would echo through space. But humanity would be ready. They would train harder. They would build more ships. They would stand together as guardians of the galaxy, protectors of peace, defenders of the innocent. The aliens had called for help. The Deathworlders had responded with a fleet, and the stars would never forget.